Hello and welcome to the Newsroom with Sana. Today we're going to be taking a look at the very important relationship that Pakistan and Canada enjoy, and for that we had an exclusive conversation with the Canadian High Commissioner to Pakistan, Mr. Tarik, and we spoke to him at length about a number of issues affecting both the countries and the international community. Here's the interview. Thank you, Mr. Tarik, for joining us and being a part of the newsroom today. I'd like to talk a little bit about, of course, where Pakistan and Canada's relationship stands, but particularly in terms of trade and investment, because the current standing is far below potential, and there's so many areas that we want to explore. And we've seen developments coming in as well, and you've had great engagements with the leadership in Pakistan. How do you see this growing, and where do you think the opportunities are, and what more can be done?
Well, first of all, shukriya bahut aapka, Sana. It's
Likewise.
A pleasure to be here on Pakistan TV, and I'm looking forward to discussing a bit with you and passing some of our key messages to your viewers. My first message, related to trade and the relationship is, I think we have a really golden opportunity right now. Both Canada and Pakistan are seeking to diversify their trade relationships, attract investment. And I think we've got some strengths in really key areas that matter to Pakistan.
Yeah.
There's, of course, critical minerals. Most Pakistanis know about the Reko Dik mine in Balochistan, the copper mine, which is being run by a Canadian company, Barrick Minerals. We also have great potential in renewable energy. We have a Canadian company called JCM Power, which is providing wind and solar solutions in the province of Sindh. And we also have great potential in the agriculture sector. And a good example to me of the improvement that we've seen in the relationship is we got really great support from the government of Pakistan in enabling canola exports from Canada to Pakistan this year. So I think we're on a good track, very positive track.
Absolutely. With regards to the way that we can expand this further and where you see the potential, how do you think that we can attract more investment coming in from particularly the private sector in Canada?
Well, I think the first thing that I would say for Pakistan, and this is for your own trade promotion people to undertake, is to really do a full court press on the Pakistani brand, making it very clear what the Pakistani brand is when it comes to trade exports is important.
Yeah.
And I think from our side, we're really happy that we're negotiating with Pakistan a foreign investment protection agreement, a FIPA, which will help protect traders and investors on both sides. So we think this is going to be a real enabler. And then the other thing I would just say is, allow your exports will tell the story themselves. You've got some amazing exports I know coming to Canada in terms of things like sports equipment, of course, and textiles. There'll be keen interest in what else Pakistan that can produce and fill some of the market niches in Canada.
Absolutely. You met with the Prime Minister earlier today, and of course there were a lot of discussions around what both the countries can do and what your role essentially is going to be in Pakistan as well. So given where Pakistan is heading, particularly in terms of economic advancements and the kind of areas we can collaborate on, how do you see both the governments taking this forward and the kind of support that can be extended by your commission?
So I think, with any relationship, of course, it does begin at the highest levels. And I'm really grateful for the contact and access that I've had just in my first few weeks here with ministers of various departments, of course, with the Prime Minister himself, who I met with this morning. I think we need to have more of those interactions at the political level. So our two prime ministers met at the Sharm el-Sheikh Gaza Humanitarian Conference a number of weeks back. I was really glad to see that. And our foreign ministers have spoken regularly. They've also met in person, our two foreign ministers. I think that's a great example of how the relationship starts at the senior levels. And then I think we need to find other touch points in terms of key ministries and sectors where we can collaborate.
Absolutely. There's also a huge Pakistani diaspora in Canada, and of course they're contributing a lot to the bilateral relationship as well. And as you said, there are different levels of engagement. But how can we capitalize on this huge diaspora there, and what do you think your country is doing about that?
Yeah. So We have lots of diasporas in Canada, of course,
yes.
as an immigrant receiving country. The Pakistani diaspora numbers over 300,000 people. Of course, have students as well that come every year, about 5,000 students from Pakistan to Canada every year in our universities. I think what we want to be able to cultivate, and in some ways this is, I think, also the job of the Pakistani High Commission in Canada, is to cultivate an environment in which you don't just have people coming from Pakistan to Canada, but you actually have back and forthers.
Yeah.
So I call a back and forther somebody who travels regularly, who's interested in doing business between Canada and Pakistan, who's interested in joint ventures. I think those kinds of things we need to see more of. If I think now of just a few of the iconic Canadian brands that have started in Pakistan, we have Tim Hortons coffee, we have the Second Cup coffee, we have Expectations, and we have Mary Brown's, which is kind of a iconic sort of chicken burger chain. These are started by people who recognize the value of those brands and those chains in Canada, and then actually can come back here to Pakistan and understand the market and can get them introduced to the market. And they're all doing really well. So I think that's another great indicator of the potential.
Absolutely. There's still even more a young population that aspires to go to Canada, especially the student population who are looking for visas to go study in Canada. Where do you think can the facilitation be extended to them as well in terms of what they experience as part of perhaps some procedural delays or rejections? Many of them, of course, are very concerned about that. What can the Commission do to facilitate that, or for them to understand the process better?
Right. Let me say, first of all, how important students are.
Sure.
Students are really key contributors, obviously, to our university environments, but also the communities in which those universities reside. So we welcome students. The number of student intake that we have every year, it fluctuates a little bit. I think in the next year and the year after, we'll see a bit of a reduction from previous years. But any student who wants to apply and has a challenge with their student visa, I would give them the following tips. First of all, apply early. Don't wait till the last minute before you're about to leave for your session to start in September. As soon as you have your admission from the university, you should be preparing and going through that application and getting ready. The second thing I would say is the quality of your documentation does matter. It's looked at and scrutinized very carefully by a visa officer somewhere. So make sure your documents are indeed completely authentic. Answer every question with the right document and right documentation. That's very important. The third thing I would say is be wary of immigration agents. I think
that's a big one.
I think a genuine student who's applying, maybe they need some help from a family member if there's something they don't understand on the application webpage, but it's all online. Do it yourself, provide the right and accurate information. And then if for some reason your application is rejected, take a look at the reason they give you as to why it was rejected and go back and see if you can provide the information that's missing and reapply. Because if you are a genuine student, you should be able to come.
You will not be rejected.
Yes, and I believe that if you're a genuine student and you apply with the right documentation, you do have a chance. So please reapply.
Absolutely. There's also some very important areas for Pakistan, and some of them are agriculture and green energy and climate change, because we're, of course, a country that experiences all of that, and the way that this is interconnected and how it impacts the potential that it holds. What more do you think that Canada can do in this regard in terms of knowledge exchange, tech transfer, or support in how there's more advancements in these sectors?
So let's just take the example of green energy. Our Prime Minister has made it clear that we are an energy superpower, and we aspire to be an even stronger energy superpower in terms of what we can provide the world with clean energy. There's a technology dimension to it, and there's also a natural resource dimension to it in terms of things that we have like LNG gas. I think in terms of the technology side, we have seen certainly here in Pakistan a Canadian company, one called JCM Power, I mentioned in Sindh, doing a combination of wind and wind power, wind farms, and then potentially solar power. Those are great examples of bringing a clean energy product to the market with Canadian technology and expertise, and it's something that can provide support in both the generation side. And then, of course, I'm hearing from Pakistanis that, that generation is less of an issue compared to transmission, aging transmission lines, and I think there's great potential in that area as well. So I think there's lots of room for us to work on clean energy solutions. We're a hydroelectric power ourselves. That is what generates much of the electricity in Canada, if not also across the border in the United States. It's coming from Canadian hydropower. So that's always been an area of strength for us. And now we're looking to get into a number of other areas of clean energy. So I think there's a very open road ahead of us in terms of cooperation.
Absolutely. Canada has also been very, very vocal on gender inclusivity and making sure that we give right representation and we have the right opportunities for all genders. And so in terms of what the Canadian High Commission can do in empowering women in Pakistan, are there any initiatives that can be undertaken or already underway? And what support do you think can be extended for us to be able to achieve that together?
So, of course, gender equality is a big aspect of the Canadian ethos, if you will, both domestically and in terms of how we engage abroad. We have a really interesting project right now in Gilgit-Baltistan called the Best for Weir project, which focuses very specifically on women's economic empowerment. So being able to provide both the financial assistance and the facilities for a woman to open up a shop, to be able to market their goods, to be able to provide goods and services in a way that will be accepted in a challenging environment. And then also to be able to scale up their small scale business, their micro business into a larger business. So we believe in working with organizations. In this case, we work with the Aga Khan Rural Support Program to provide that. But I think there's lots of opportunities for us to do more in that area. And you can rest assured that that's going to remain a priority for us.
Absolutely. Another area that I want to explore is that Canada has also funded the CAMS, the Case Assignment and Management System, and this is something that the Prime Minister has spoken about, said it's long overdue. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what sort of contribution is it making to supporting government institutions in Pakistan, and what else can be done on that front?
Well, we were really happy to work with the Ministry of Law and Justice
Sure.
To help support this case management system for the legal system. It's, of course, this is a digital platform that will help to streamline the tracking. It will help enhance judicial transparency, ensure that you get faster case resolution in Pakistani courts. So I think it's a good example of bringing technology into the judicial system. And we're glad to make that contribution. We do a number of other things in the area of security cooperation with Pakistan. For example, just in the area of sort of security control at airports, we provided body scanners for the Karachi International Airport through their airport security force. I think that's obviously going to help improve the quality of security in the airport itself. We've set up an e-learning center for the Sindh police in the area of counterterrorism. And we're also supporting professional training for frontline officers in Sindh. And I think these are just a few examples of where we do try to use our own border services agency to support policing and better border control in Pakistan. We take border security quite seriously, as you can imagine, in Canada. We have, obviously, in addition to airports and 3 oceans, which we have, we also have the longest border between any 2 countries in the world, between us and the United States. So the risks of trafficking, whether it's humans, narcotics, weapons, are very real. And we believe one of the best ways to tackle those risks is through some of the improved technology that's out there and training.
Absolutely. I also want to explore a little bit more on what's happening in the larger international community. And one of the most pressing issues has been the genocide that is continuing still in Palestine. And of course, there is that peace agreement that has been in place, and that's very, very essential to helping the people of Gaza and to end their suffering. But in terms of making sure that it's implemented in full letter and spirit, what do you think needs to be done, and what can countries like Canada do about ensuring that there is peace in Gaza?
Well, our position has always been is that we fully support a 2-state solution. There is now an opportunity to start to pursue that, to take some steps following the Gaza ceasefire. We have recognized, our Prime Minister has recognized the state of Palestine. That was just this last fall. And we've been consistent in providing humanitarian relief to the people of Gaza via Jordan, actually, where I was last posted as our ambassador to Jordan. So I've had a chance to see firsthand that we have been providing aid. We've got recognition. And we're prepared to step up as well when it comes to a longer-term solution for the Palestinian people. This has clearly gone on for too long. The world has witnessed this. We cannot unsee what we've seen, and we are absolutely committed to finding a better solution. And we really encourage both parties, obviously, to respect the terms of this ceasefire.
Absolutely. Another major issue that the world experiences is, of course, terrorism. And Pakistan and Canada both have their own experiences with regards to this. What do you think needs to be done with regards to counterterrorism activities and to ensure regional peace and stability?
Well, I think countering terrorism in the region is essential. Let me say that our position is a very clear one. We condemn terrorism in all of its forms, particularly the impact, of course, that terrorism has on innocent civilians, on innocent civilian lives. And because I'm here in Pakistan right now, and in Islamabad right now, let me offer my condolences to the people of Pakistan and of this city for the terrorism attack which took place yesterday here in Islamabad. We stand with you on this, and we completely condemn this.
Thank you very much for coming to Pakistan TV. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you, Sana.
And speaking to you, of course, and knowing about your country and what your efforts are going to be.
Thank you. Shukriya.
Thank you. That, of course, was the Canadian High Commissioner to Pakistan, and we were very happy to have an exclusive conversation with him about Pakistan and Canada's relations and what needs to be done moving forward. We'll take a short break here and be back with more news. Welcome back to the newsroom with Sana. You heard the conversation we earlier had with the Canadian High Commissioner to Pakistan, and of course very, very essential in terms of the way forward and what his commission and of course the Canadian government at large is going to be doing with regards to its efforts towards increasing trade in Pakistan. Already, of course, a number of these developments are underway, and we look forward to exploring this partnership even further and moving ahead with more enhanced bilateral partnerships. This is, of course, what we discussed earlier today and was essential in terms of how this relationship is flourishing. But what is also important is what is going on in the neighborhood, and particularly in terms of the Pakistan and Afghanistan relationship that unfortunately is not getting any support with reference to the Afghan Taliban regime's commitments towards the international community, including Pakistan, of protecting its soil not to be used against Pakistan. And this is something that we've not seen happening. And of course, there are no guarantees, despite the fact that there were a number of conversations that were held just recently in Istanbul. And it seems that there's going to be more efforts by mediators such as Turkey that have helped put forward their support in this regard. But at the end of the day, what we have seen is that despite the best efforts in this fight, this very important guarantee that is required in this Pakistan single point agenda, we have seen a series of attacks happen in Pakistan by the Fitna al-Khawarij, whose safe havens exist in Afghanistan, who are being facilitated by the Indian proxy elements, and of course that are also given support by the Afghan Taliban regime, for which this guarantee is so essential for the Afghan Taliban regime to ensure that their soil is not used against Pakistan or any other territory. However, that does not happen, and what happens is that we've seen the Afghan Deputy Prime Minister on Economic Affairs told the traders and industrialists with reference to what is going on, that they need to end their exports and imports trade with Pakistan and look for alternative routes within 3 months, and that anybody who does not do so will not be the responsibility of the Afghan regime, and their grievances will not be addressed. And this is happening to a country which has supported and facilitated the people of Afghanistan Afghanistan for decades, of course, hosting the refugees for such a long time within Pakistan, despite the fact that many of those elements added to illegal and criminal activities in Pakistan, opened the trade corridors with Afghanistan, despite the fact that terror networks were existing across this border, and also engaged in providing support towards the people of Afghanistan by taking the grievances in terms of the business and traders and helping support them in lower custom duties. And this is, of course, very, very essential because Pakistan is the country with which, in just the fiscal year 24 to 25, the trade about $2 billion. And this is, of course, very, very essential. The alternative is just going to harm the people of Afghanistan, the businesses and the traders of Afghanistan. It seems that that is not a priority for the Afghan Taliban regime at all, because the longer routes will be more expensive, and it is only because of the Afghan Taliban regime's own decision making based on arbitrary factors that they're hurting their own people and not taking a look at what is needed at the moment, what business is supported, or remembering the fact that Pakistan is in fact the country that has extended this very vital support and instead has only gotten more terror attacks in return. For this, we will be speaking to the former ambassador Jamil Khan, who's joined us in the newsroom, and we'll speak to him with regards to what is going on at the moment. Thank you very much, Dr. Jamil, for being part of the newsroom. I'd like to hear your perspective, given the fact that whatever situation that we've seen the Pakistan-Afghanistan situation in, what we are demanding is very, very clear and, of course, a right of any sovereign country. But despite this very simple demand that needs to be given from the Afghan Taliban regime, what we see is just blatant actions being taken without considering the will or the benefit of their own people. And so this recent development, an announcement by the Deputy Prime Minister for Economic Affairs in Afghanistan that trade routes alternatively to Pakistan's are to be found by their business community in just 3 months. How do you see this development, and what does it show in terms of the mindset that is currently existing and the way that the Afghan Taliban regime wants to hurt its own people in the process?
Very true. In fact, it's going to really marginalize their own people. And the fact is that their own people, they are in such a high level of poverty that they are the poorest country in the world now. They have only about 433 dollars per capita income in Afghanistan. About 82% of Afghanis, they have less than $1 a day their income. So under those circumstances, alternate routes from Nuristan would cost them much more than what it cost them through the route what they use from Pakistan. So that means that perhaps the Afghan Taliban are not really serious to look after their own people. And that is a kind of a level of poverty that it is unbearable for any humankind. And what is the next step from this poverty level? The next step is famine. The next step is the malnutrition. The next step is that there could be more widespread the diseases in Afghanistan. And how would they handle it? You know, we always have our sympathies with the common people of Afghanistan, and we've been always really thinking about their welfare, thinking about their stability. Even Prime Minister yesterday, while he was addressing to parliamentary inter-parliamentary speakers conference, he mentioned that we need peaceful Afghanistan and a stable Afghanistan. That is so important for the connectivity and for the prosperity of the not only Afghanistan but for the entire region. And we've been advocating that we need a stable Pakistan, even in the Security Council. Our permanent representative, Mr. Asif Iftikhar, only about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, he mentioned it, and he really, during the debate in Security Council, he asked the other members of the Security Council to find the new vistas for ensuring that the Afghanistan is stable. So we go to that length to really see that the Afghanistan remains stable, and their people obviously should not really see the fate with what they are seeing. So this very decision of the deputy minister, Mr. Rahmatullah, that is going to be quite detrimental. Even the medicines, the kind of caution he has given, that would cost them about three times, if not double the cost. So that, and then that has another angle in it, because the Chabahar and then Nuristan and the alternate routes, there have been investment from the countries like India in the construction of road and the establishing quick connectivity from Nuristan onward. But then again, at the end of the day, it's going to really harm their own people. And what Pakistan was asking, Pakistan was not asking something. Pakistan was asking that they should just issue a fatwa for those people who are involved in terrorism. And Pakistan was asking during the last negotiation, and even our mediators, they agreed to it, that the fatwa should be only to say that it is illegitimate to attack Pakistan. And they have declared war against Pakistan, the terrorist group, and that was to be declared as illegitimate. That was not agreed to. In fact, that fatwa could be gotten issued. And then also relocation of the group from closer proximity of the border to some far off places. That was also not agreed during the last meeting in front of mediators. And the prevention of terrorist group from crossing the border and using the soil of Afghanistan. In turn, they started asking for something else. They started asking that Afghanistan, what does it have to do with Afghanistan? No, that brings us to a dead end. If the three demands, which is not only our demand, that is what they had given it in writing, Doha Agreement, endorsed by the Security Council. And that becomes the international document, international law that they had agreed, and that has been endorsed by the Security Council. And therefore, they have to adhere to it. Now they are saying they are no one less than the Deputy Prime Minister, who was a member of the negotiation team. He says that what does it have to do with us? What does it have to do with Afghanistan? It has got nothing to do with us. I'm just quoting, quote unquote, what he has been saying, and then eliminating. And then on contrary, he is asking Pakistan to eliminate IS hideouts in Pakistan, as if there was any hideout in Pakistan, the international community would have definitely reported, because there is a monitoring team of the United Nations Security Council. They have not really mentioned anything of that kind. They have mentioned about Afghanistan. More than 20 groups, they are thriving in Afghanistan. And under these circumstances, after the blast yesterday, our Minister of Defense, Khwaja Asif, he was very candid and very clear that Pakistan has given the proof of about 60 different training centers across the border on Afghanistan soil. And the Minister of Defense further said that only condemnation from Afghanistan, I'm talking about yesterday's incident, that is not enough. They have to really prevent them from doing that. And further, he said that under these circumstances, how the negotiation could proceed further. So what I see
And Dr.
here.
Jamil, that's an important point, because I want to explore that further, given the fact that we still have countries like Turkey trying to put in more effort and trying to go ahead with any possibilities of negotiation that can exist. And of course, that is appreciated, and there is a lot of high-level involvement that's coming in from Turkey as well. But in terms of what we have seen happen in the series of attacks we've had in Wana, we've had in the federal capital, and this is very, very significant, and it's not new. It has been going on for some time. Pakistan has credible evidence in terms of the linkages with the handlers in Afghanistan and the elements that are involved from India, and then of course the safe havens that exist that are being supported by the Afghan Taliban regime. So, and then on top of that, we have such statements coming in as came from the Deputy Prime Minister of the Afghan Taliban regime. So in this scenario, how do you think that countries like Turkey can move things forward? Because what is essential is, of course, that there is a resolution, and Pakistan's stance is very clear. It's a single point agenda, and it's something that is a requirement. Anything less than that is not enough. So how will countries like Turkey be able to achieve that if it hasn't happened so far?
No, with that sincerity on both sides, Turkey and Qatar both had really tried their best, and now that they are sending Mr. Erdogan is sending, and this is what he said to our Prime Minister during the Victory Day in Azerbaijan, that he's going to send his defense minister, the foreign minister, and the intelligence chiefs. And by the way, the intelligence chief of Turkey, he knows each inch of Afghanistan, and he's fully aware of it. And as I said, that we have already given the evidence, and which is undeniable evidence, because in the present day world, where we have all the digital signature of what is happening around in the present day world, with the technology available to Pakistan, and that can really pinpoint where the groups are and how they are thriving and how they are doing their training and how many established training camps are. So under those circumstances, Turkey understand it quite well. They've still undertaken this very tough negotiation, and the diplomatic efforts are still going on. And we would be very happy if the the efforts goes on. In fact, Afghan Taliban had agreed last time in Istanbul that the ceasefire, to the extent of maintaining ceasefire, they would agree to. But then they had put up another three demands, that their airspace should not be violated, means that those terrorist group and the centers where the training is taking place and the places from where the attack is being directed from Pakistan should not be engaged, should not be struck. So that is not possible for Pakistan. That was their demand. What their other demands they had was that the refugees, we should not send back the refugees. Means the human treatment of the refugees. We are already doing everything what is enunciated in the refugees convention. But then that was, their counter the demands over there. And on one side, they don't agree that they would be able to. They say what it has to do with Afghanistan to really stop TTP. Now, on one side, that is what today the statement has come up from the deputy minister, who was a member of the negotiation team. And on the other side, they don't expect that we should engage the targets. Now, Turkey has a very good experience in it. As a matter of fact, while they were engaging PKK, they
Yeah.
were able to do the cross border. They were able to strike their places. They were able to identify their training center, like we have identified. So Turkey
Yeah.
understand that what needs to be done and what we can do it. They have so many projects in Afghanistan. They know Afghanistan quite well. They have their investment. They are the well-wisher of Afghanistan, and of course, they are our friends also. So they can
Absolutely.
definitely
Dr.
put up
Jamil,
a pressure.
there's no doubt about the sincerity and the effort that Turkey is making. Of course, Pakistan appreciates that, and we understand that this is an important aspect of the way forward. But in terms of what is actually happening and the kind of influence that is needed, I want to understand then what are the stakes that can push the Afghan Taliban regime to understand this is only in their favor, this is something that they must do as part of their reassurances, and that this is a requirement. But in terms of what we have already seen happen before, do you think that Turkey or other countries in the international community have that influence over the Afghan Taliban regime in countering the kind of incentives they seem to be getting in from countries like India?
If we only examine the demands which they have put up during the negotiation, the Afghan Taliban and their team, it doesn't seem that it's going to be a success again, and that's what has been indicated by Khaja Asif also. So it's very tough, as a matter of fact, but still, in diplomacy, one never gives up, and one keeps, continuing with the dialogue and with the negotiation. I think that's where we stand, because unless the Afghan Taliban, they adhere to what they have committed to the international community, leaving aside what they have committed to us at whatever stage, but then what they have committed to the entire international community, as I was mentioning, which has the strength of the Security Council of United Nations, they should at least adhere to that. So if they are not adhering to that, whom are they harming? They're harming their own people. And we just discussed the level of poverty which is there in Afghanistan and the further isolation. What does it imply? Afghanistan, even today, whatever little aid is trickling, it is trickling through the United Nations, some other NGOs. And that money is coming from international community. And national community, including United States, has given an indication that if they do not really adhere to the international demands and the international law, then in that case, those humanitarian aid would really deplete. And who would suffer? Their own people. And once they suffer, they come on the roads. Once they come on the road, there would be a civil war. And once there would be a civil war, again, Pakistan doesn't want it. And, there would be a refugee problem, and then there are so many conventions that Pakistan would find it very hard to really stop them again. Not only Pakistan, but other neighboring countries. And the who would be.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Jamil Khan, for joining us and speaking to us with reference to what is going on in Pakistan and Afghanistan. And of course, we've seen a number of attacks with evidence linking back to the handlers in Afghanistan. And this is something that makes our stance even more consolidated, that this is a demand that must be fulfilled and that Pakistan will not be tolerating anything coming in from within Afghanistan, and that will be considered as a violation of the ceasefire. We, of course, are for peace and we'll look forward to any possible resolution. And so the efforts coming in from Turkey are appreciated, but it is something that is needed from the Afghan Taliban regime, but with measures such as stopping traders and investors from going ahead with collaborating and with Pakistan and going ahead with the export and import routes as they are, is something, of course, that is in a negative spirit and impacts the larger interests of not just the larger regional peace and security and the economic relations, but also especially the people of Afghanistan. We're going to be now taking a look at what is happening in terms of the cooperation of multiple countries, and this is something that is extremely essential when it comes to large gatherings and hostings of representatives of various countries getting together on forums such as the Interparliamentary Speakers Conference that was held in Islamabad from the 10th of 12th of November. And this is essential in making sure that the countries are brought together and that we are moving forward with the ways in which the international community can explore in working with each other. For that, we have been joined in the newsroom by the Speaker of the Federation Council of Russia, Mr. Konstantin Kosachev, and we'll be speaking to him with regards to this very important conference. Welcome to the newsroom, Mr. Kosachev. I'd like your perspective in how important do you think conferences such as the ISC are in terms of bringing the international community together?
I believe that we need to unite parliamentarians all over the world in order to promote international peace and security. And this is why this initiative of the Senate of Pakistan, of the Pakistani parliament, to hold one more conference, but to add one more dimension to the interparliamentary diplomacy, it's so important. Here we speak the same language in terms of interpreting the current situation in the world and working out our collective responses. We are not a union here. We are countries. We are national parliaments with their own national interests, with their own platforms for international cooperations, but we are here to talk to each other on equal foot. We are here to listen to each other, not to force one's position on anybody else. And this is why it is so good, this is why it is so important to participate in these kind of conferences, and the Russian parliament will definitely continue to support this excellent idea. I would like to express our sincere gratitude to the organizers of this conference, and specifically to the Senate of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and personally to Mr. Gilani.
Mr. Kosachev, what is Russia's position on the current situation in South Asia, and what role can your country play for regional peace and security?
We are deeply concerned about the developments here in South Asia. For the reason, major reason is that we definitely deny any attempts to use terrorism in order to promote any political or economic interests. It is not acceptable. But secondly, because we are in good relations with most countries in this region, in South Asia, and I believe this is why we are capable to promote peace and security here, but by using our good relations with countries like Pakistan, like India, like Afghanistan. For now, probably some political forces here will criticize Russia for that, but we are convinced that if we are able to uphold good and constructive relations with different countries, sometimes with conflicting countries in any region, South Asia region included, we will be able to add some positive value to the conflict resolution processes. So we are here as friends. We are here as a country which does not have any specific own interests in any conflict here. We are an honest broker, so to say, and this is why we believe that Russia is to be supported by every country in the region in its efforts to maintain peace and security in South Asia.
How do you see the current bilateral relationship between Pakistan and Russia, especially in economic terms, and what do you think is the impact of the geopolitical developments on this relationship?
We do not have any huge unresolved problems in our relations, and I believe that our bilateral cooperation is developing in a very good speed. The turnover, the volume of trade this year is not as good as it was the previous year, but one of the major explanations for that is that the harvest of wheat, harvest of grain here in Pakistan is good this year, and this is why Pakistan does not buy the same volume of wheat from Russia, but it is not a political problem, it's just a natural development, so to say, so we are not concerned about this current development, and we believe we consider Pakistan as a very important, as a major partner of Russia in the region in terms of trade and economic cooperation. By the end of November this year, we will have a meeting of our Intergovernmental Commission on Trade and Economy here in Islamabad, and hopefully the participating parts representing their governments will be able to unite on a very essential program of our trade and economic cooperation until the year of 2030. And that means that our bilateral relations, our cooperation is based on a stable basis counted for years to come, not for the current situation. We are secured from any unexpected developments in the region, in the world, and this is why I believe Russia and Pakistan may call themselves as very good and promising partners.
Thank you, Mr. Kosachev, for joining us and speaking to us about this very important relationship. That was the Deputy Speaker, Federation Council of Russia, speaking to us from the ISC happening in Islamabad. And this is essential in terms of bringing all of these countries together. And as Mr. Kosachev was telling us, a very essential aspect of making sure that we move forward for international peace and collaborations. That's all that we have from the newsroom today. We'll now see you tomorrow.